There's been an increase in the number of Russian military aircraft over the skies above NATO countries recently. Only yesterday, the RAF released pictures that they took of a Russian military aircraft close to Scotland. It came just days after NATO members intercepted planes over the North Atlantic, Baltic and Black Seas. Well, NATO's boss said this spike in activity was undermining the alliance's trust in Russia. Well, I'm joined now by Elizabeth Quintana, who is the Director of Military Sciences at RUSI, the Royal United Services Institute. Very good to see you. I mean, what's going on? Why?
Well, this is all about Ukraine. In part, this is Russia flexing its muscles. This is what air forces do, particularly at times of heightened tension. And we've seen that with China and Japan in recent months. But this is about Russia showing how capable its military aircraft are and to say, don't think of messing with us because otherwise, look what we can do to you. NATO is not unduly worried about it, but it is noting that there is an increase in activity.
So there's no doubt it's deliberate, first of all. Yeah. They're not lost. They know where they are.
Yeah. No, this is cat and mouse. This is what air forces do. They go near to each other's airspaces. They see how quick the defence capabilities are of the host nation. And also they learn a little bit about each other that way. They learn the way they operate. They learn how they respond to testing situations. So this is in part a fact-finding mission, and in part a question of showing who's got the biggest muscles.
Well, you make it sound all very normal. I mean, does it cut both ways? Do we do it to them? If we continue to do it, do NATO countries still push up against the borders of Russia?
Well, certainly there was a US spy plane that was chased into Swedish airspace a few weeks ago. So certainly, yes, we will be patrolling the borders, and there's a NATO air policing mission that makes sure that we defend our own airspace collectively. But it is in part secret, yes, there will be a certain amount of fact-finding as well to make sure that we're not unprepared should they come our way.
But I mean, these are warplanes, and the word war is there, and they're heavily armed and capable of doing some pretty terrible things to each other and things on the ground as well. Accidents could happen here, could they? Mistakes could take place. Look how close those aircraft are, and all it takes is for one communication from the RAF or whoever it is to the Russian pilot, which he misunderstands or doesn't hear, and they have to shoot him down.
Yeah, so actually, despite a lot of these kinds of activities behind the scenes, there is a lot of communication with the Russians as well, and we make it very clear what our lines of, our red lines are, and vice versa.
You make it sound like a bit of a game.
Well, it is. This is exactly back to the Cold War. It's not in any way the levels of activity that we saw during the Cold War, but this is very much the way that this is played. So. But actually, in some ways, it's more worrying in Southeast Asia at the moment because they don't have those lines of communication available. There doesn't seem to be the same level of communication between the political class and what the military are doing. So what the Chinese government is saying is very different to what air forces, naval forces even are experiencing on the ground. So that's a more worrying situation because the rules of the game are not well understood by both sides. So yes, the potential for miscommunication is much higher.
And related back to Ukraine, is there a simple message then saying here, look, you know it, but let's prove it to you from Russia, saying we are a mighty military nation and don't even think for a moment that you can mess with us in Ukraine?
Yes, but equally, that's why we defend our airspace vigorously as well. It's not one way, it cuts both ways. And by having the RAF defending our skies as quickly as they do, that sends a message back. Don't think you can mess with us either. So while the political discussions carry on, and there is a certain amount of posturing and deterrence as well going on as well. I mean, the same thing applies with the maritime forces, and in some ways it applies to the exercises that are going on in Eastern Europe at the moment. This is to say, look, Russia, don't think that you can come this way because we can deploy forces very quickly in response should you wish to do anything silly. So this is not to say that this is a dangerous situation, but it's just people communicating backwards and forwards in ways that maybe we might not do
No, well, thank
on
you
our
very much
day-to-day lives.
Exactly.